Good afternoon and welcome to the 21st Century Community Learning Center Pre-Proposal Conference. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And just so that we can test to make sure everybody is hearing everything, if you have access to the chat feature, will you please raise your hand if you can hear me clearly? Thank you. Again, thank you for joining us this afternoon on our last pre-proposal conference. On the opening slide, you saw that you are to enter your name and your program organization that is applying for 21st Century into the chat box if you have access to that feature. And in about 20 minutes, we will do an official roll call where we will pause the presentation and then we will come back with some further instructions. For those of you who have access to see the slides, on our agenda for this afternoon, we have welcome and introductions. We have some housekeeping issues we want to resolve, and then we're going to take a dive into the actual overview of the RFP. Part 1, the administrative and general information. Part 2, scope of work and services. Part 3, evaluation. Part 4, performance standards. Then attachments, budget forms, and we'll leave some time at the end for questions. I would like to introduce myself, Kenya Jenkins, the Director of the Grants Management Division here at the Department of Education. And in the room with me, I have Ms. Terry Bird, Mr. Ethan Leonard, and Mr. Randy Littleton. Housekeeping, as many of you are aware, this is a pre-proposal conference, and there is some specific information in section 1.13.1 on page 16 of the RFP that lets you know that although impromptu questions will be permitted and spontaneous answers will be provided during the pre-proposal conference, the only official answer or position of the state will be stated in writing in response to written questions. Potential applicants should submit all questions in writing, even if an answer has already been given to an oral question. Note that only written inquiries that are sent to the RFP coordinator are considered official and will be addressed and posted to the LAPAC website. The RFP overview. The purpose of this RFP is to obtain competitive proposals from qualified applicants who are interested in establishing a 21st Century Community Learning Center. The 21st Century program was amended by Congress as Title IV, Part B of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and amended just in 2015 to the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. The purpose of this program is to provide opportunities for communities to establish or expand in community learning centers that, 1, provide opportunities for academic enrichment, including providing tutorial services to help students, particularly students who attend low-performing schools. 2, that offer students a broad array of additional services, programs, and activities such as youth development activities, service learning, nutrition and health education, drug and violence prevention programs, counseling programs, arts and music programs, etc. And 3, offer families of student services by community learning centers opportunities for active and meaningful engagement in their children's education, including opportunities for literacy and related educational development. Here on this slide, you see the schedule of events, which shows you the public release of the RFP, the mandatory pre-proposal conferences in which you have to participate in one to be able to submit an actual proposal, deadline for receipt of written inquiries, which is April 16th. The deadline to answer those written inquiries will be April 23rd, and they will be posted to the LAPAC website. Deadline for receipt of proposals, May 8th, no later than 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. The application review period will be from May to July. And then the DOA review period, notice of intent to award, and 14-day protest begins on or about July 2019 to August 2019. The RFP is located in two places. Legally, we post the RFP, and under procurement guidelines, we post the RFP to the LAPAC website. It is there in the PDF format, and also as a courtesy, we post the Word format to the Louisiana Believes website. Proposals, you have a checklist on page 77 of the RFP. The proposal must be received by the RFP coordinator on or before the date and time specified in the schedule of events. No fax or email submissions will be accepted. Applicants mailing their proposals should allow sufficient mail delivery time to ensure receipt of their proposal by the time specified. The proposal package must be labeled with the name and number of the RFP on the package for identification purposes and delivered at the proposer's expense. If you are hand delivering your application, please allow at minimum 30 to 60 minutes for building security checks. You will need to present a photo ID to the guard station in the lobby for entrance. There is a specified number of copies of proposals that must be submitted. One, you should have 2 fully complete originals, signed proposals in blue ink with no staples, no binders, etc. And you will label this original as 21st CCLC 19 original. Number 2, you will have 1 electronic copy of the original signed proposal on a USB flash drive. You will label this copy as 21st CCLC 19 original electronic copy. Number 3, you will have 4 anonymized or blind electronic copies on 4 individual USB flash drives. Anonymized copies must be completely redacted electronically. Failure to do so will deem the application ineligible and it will not be reviewed. Please review these copies before submitting to ensure that all identifying information is redacted. Label anonymized or blind copies as 21st CCLC 19 blind copy, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Examples of redacted information are outlined in the RFP, and if you see on the slide, we provided you 2 examples as well. Again, for redaction purposes, you are redacting personal identifiable information of your agency. Eligibility qualifications. Local educational agencies, or LEAs, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, other public or private entities, or a consortia of such agencies, organizations, or entities shall be eligible to receive funds to provide services to the low-income students and their families. Individual public schools shall not submit a proposal. They must apply through an LEA or other eligible entity and will be funded in only one contract. Public charter schools must apply for 21st CCLC funding under their 501c3 nonprofit. Public charter schools that operate multiple LEAs will be funded in only one contract. Proposals must be submitted by a lead proposer, which, if awarded a contract, will become the prime contractor or the fiscal agent. The Veteran and Hudson Initiative Program. The State of Louisiana Veteran and Hudson Initiatives are designed to provide additional opportunities for Louisiana-based small entrepreneurship, sometimes referred to as LEVETs and SEs, respectively, to participate in contracting and procurement with the state. a certified veteran-owned and service-connected disabled veteran-owned small entrepreneurship, and a Louisiana initiative for small entrepreneurship, small or businesses that have been certified by the Louisiana Department of Economic Development. Up to 12% of the total evaluation points on this RFP are reserved for proposers who are, one, themselves a certified veteran or Hudson Initiative participant, or two, who will engage the participation of one or more certified veteran or Hudson Initiative participants. Please see page 90 for the Veteran Hudson Initiative form if this is an opportunity that you are able to take part in. The blackout period is a specified period of time during a competitive steel procurement process in which any proposer, bidder, or its agent or representative is prohibited from communicating about the effective procurement with any state employee or contractor of the state involved in any step in the procurement process. The blackout period begins upon the posting of the solicitation and will end when the contract is awarded by vesting. Proposer inquiries. Written inquiries must be received by April 16, 2019, no later than 2 p.m. Central Standard Time as specified in the schedule of events. Official responses to all questions submitted by potential applicants will be posted by April 23, 2019. Inquiries must be received by email at rfp_lde@la.gov. Again, that's rfp_lde@la.gov. Proposal rejection and ownership of the proposal. Issuance of this RFP in no way shall constitute a commitment by the state to award a contract. The state shall reserve the right to accept or reject in whole or part all proposals submitted and or cancel this RFP if it is determined to be in the state's best interest. All materials submitted in response to this RFP shall become the property of the state. Selection or rejection of a proposal shall not affect this right. The state shall not be liable for any cost incurred by applicants prior to the issuance of or entering into a contract. Costs associated with developing the proposal, preparing for oral presentations, and any other expenses incurred by the proposer in responding to this RFP shall be entirely the responsibility of the proposer and shall not be reimbursed in any manner. Part 2, Scope and Work of Services. Any public or private organization that meets the eligibility requirements can apply for the 21st CCLC funding. This again includes local education agencies, community-based organizations, Indian tribe or tribal organizations, another public or private entity, or a consortium of 2 or more such agencies, organizations, or entities shall be eligible to receive funds to provide services to low-income students and their families. All applicants must target students who primarily attend schools eligible for Title I school-wide programs under Section 1114 of ESSA and the families of such students. To be eligible for this grant, at least 70% of the students an applicant is proposing to serve must attend schools implementing comprehensive supports and improvement activities or targeted support and improvement activities under Section 1111D of ESSA or other schools determined by the local education agency to be in need of intervention and support to improve students' academic achievement and other outcomes, and be students who may be at risk for academic failure, dropping out of school, involvement in criminal or delinquent activities, or who lack strong positive role models. Applicants should refer to the list of Louisiana CIR or UIR schools that meet eligibility requirements. CIR is comprehensive intervention required, and UIR is urgent intervention required. Funding methodology. The total funding to be released for this RFP is approximately $17 million, contingent on Louisiana's federal award for quality applications to operate a 21st CCLC program within the state of Louisiana. Applicants may request funds ranging from a minimum of $50,000 to a maximum of $800,000 annually. Requests for funding should be based upon a maximum per pupil cost of $1,500 per student. Required staffing. Applicants must budget salaries for 3 required staff positions. 1, the full-time project director, which is going to be your one dedicated full-time person qualified to manage day-to-day and overall operations. They're going to ensure compliance with all grant requirements and lead the program through a process of continuous improvement. We ask that you also have an educational liaison. The hours will not exceed 30 hours per week. One dedicated person qualified to manage all of the academic components of the program. And 3, we ask that you have site coordinators. Their hours not to exceed 1 hour prior to programming and 1 hour after programming. And it should be one dedicated person for each site qualified to manage the design and implementation of all site level activities. The project director, education liaison, and site coordinator positions can only be filled by one person per position. Lead teachers or administrators acting in other capacities during the school day cannot satisfy the requirements of this position. Exceptions for grants that only operate one site, one person may be responsible for both the project director and site coordinator responsibilities. Types of proposals. This information should be identified in your cover letter. You are able to apply for one of 2 types of proposals in your submission. Traditional proposal is going to be program activities that are held during non-school hours and periods when school is not in session. For example, before school, after school, and during summer break. Summer programming is required for all funded 21st CCLC centers. Or you may have an expanded learning time program. That is a program held during the regular school day when schools have extended the day, week, or year in which school is in session, and program activities held outside of the academic calendar year and separately from any regularly scheduled summer school session. There are also 2 types of applicants, and again, you would include this in your cover letter. You could be a new applicant. A new applicant is defined as any group, agency, or organization that has never had 21st CCLC program funded in Louisiana. Or you would be what is considered a veteran application. 21st CCLC grantees that have previously received grant funds, and need to support to sustain the organization's after-school program past the original grant award. So again, in your cover letter, you should identify the type of proposal, which could be traditional or ELT, expanded learning time, and you should identify what type of applicant you are. If you are a new applicant or if you are a veteran applicant. Before we move into the next curriculum instruction material slide, we're going to take a brief pause here to do our official roll call. I will pause my screen for just a moment and share the roll call document with you, and then I will give you some specific instructions. At this time, you should see the roll call document listed, and I will scroll down after I read the instructions. We are now preparing to take the official roll call. I will type roll call open in the chat box. If you are logged into the Zoom meeting via computer, through the use of the chat box feature, please type your agency name that will be submitting a proposal and your full name into the chat box. Again, I am going to type roll call open into the chat box. If you are logged into the Zoom meeting via computer through the use of the chat box feature, please type your agency name that will be submitting a proposal and your full name into the chat box. And we do aware that this may be the second time that many of you will be doing this. However, this is how you will be counted for the official roll call. If you are dialed in by phone only, I will call the last 4 digits of the phone number listed as participating twice. I will then unmute your line, and at that time, you will need to verbally provide the agency name that will be submitting a 21st CCLC proposal and your full name. I will pause for a moment to open roll call in the chat. One moment. Some of you began the roll call before I typed in official roll call. Please type your names into the chat once more. Thank you. Again, if you are logged into the Zoom meeting via the chat box feature at this time, please type in your agency name that will be submitting a proposal and your full name into the chat box. If you are dialed in by phone only, I will call the last 4 digits of the phone number listed as participating twice. I will then unmute your line, and at that time, you will need to verbally provide the agency name that will be submitting a 21st century proposal and your full name. If anyone is participating in the Zoom meeting is identified via participation through the Zoom app via smartphone or tablet, grants management staff will send you a private chat to obtain your participant information and your agency name. At this time, I will begin calling the phone-only participants. One moment. Last 4 digits, 0513. Last 4 digits, 0513. I am unmuting your line.
The company, thank you. The company name is Jamie May Educational Consulting and Literacy Services, LLC.
Okay.
Jamie May, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you repeat the name one more time?
Jamie May Educational Consulting and Literacy Services, LLC.
Okay, and your name?
Jamesia, Jamecia, Mays, Mayes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Last 4 digits, 8871. Last 4 digits, 8871. I'm unmuting your line. Last 4 digits, 8871.
This is Urban Restoration Enhancement Corporation.
Okay, and your
Carl
name?
Dillon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dillon. Last four digits, 8205. Last four digits, 8205. I'm unmuting your line.
Company name, Building Timeless Milestones, and my name is L. Thomas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last four digits, 3243. Last four digits, 3243. I'm unmuting your line.
Hi, the Crossover House Incorporated. This is Judy Brass.
Last name again, I'm sorry.
Brass, B as in boy, R-A-S-S.
And the first name is Judy?
Judy, J-U-D-Y,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 0699. 0699. I'm unmuting your line. Last four digits, 0699.
Pinnacle Education, LLC, Idris Lodge.
Can you repeat the name of the agency, please?
Pinnacle Education, LLC.
Your name?
Idris Lodge.
Idris Lodge. Thank you. Last four digits, 3444. 3444. I'm unmuting your line. Last four digits, 3444. Last four digits, 8880. 8880. I'm unmuting your line.
Company name is Chatham Community Support Group, that's C-H-A-T-H-A-M, and the name is Tanya Henderson.
Can you give us the company name one more time?
Yes, The name is Chatham, CHATHAM, Community Support Group.
And your name?
Tanya Henderson.
Thank you. Last four digits, 4222. Last four digits, 4222. I'm unmuting your line.
Outreach Community Development Corporation, Tiffany Lewis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 9438. Last four digits, 9438. I'm unmuting your line. Last four digits, 9438. Last four digits, 9200. 9200. I'm unmuting your line.
Thank you. Family, FAMLINITAV. Person, Beulah, BEULAH, Piper, PIPER.
The phone is a little muffled. If you could give us that name again, we'd appreciate it.
BEULAH, last PIPER.
And what's your name?
Beulah, BEULAH, Piper, PIPER.
Beulah Piper?
Yes.
Okay, and can you say the name of the company for us again?
Family, FAMLINITAV.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 1480. Last four digits, 1480. I'm unmuting your line. Last four digits, 1480. Last four digits, 4366. Last four digits, 4366. I'm unmuting your line.
Hi, Step by Step Performing Arts Academy. My colleague listened last week and submitted. I'm just secondary, and I'm listening in. So it's Step by Step Performing Arts Academy.
Okay, and what's your name?
Janet Wall.
Janet Wall, W-A-L-L?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Last call for the last four digits, 9438. Last call for the four digits, 9438. I'm unmuting your line. Last call for the last four digits, 3444. Last call for the digits, 3444. I'm unmuting your line. Last call for 1480. Last call, 1480. I'm unmuting your line. Thank you for your patience as we attempted to get the information of all of the callers who dialed in by phone only. Everyone that had access to chat, please ensure that you have placed your name and your agency's name that will be applying into the chat box. At this time, roll call has been completed. I will type roll call closed into the chat box. Once that has happened, the roll call has officially ended and no one else will have met participation for this pre-proposal conference. Again, thank you for your patience. We're going to pause just a moment so that I can share my screen again and we can finish the presentation. One moment. Again, thank you all for your patience while we conducted the official roll call. Now we will begin with the slide curriculum and instructional materials. In an effort to align the 21st CCLC academic component to the state's curriculum initiative, if using 21st CCLC funding to purchase curriculum and instructional materials, grantees will be required to purchase and utilize Tier 1 curriculum and instructional materials. Instructional materials are one of the most important tools educators use in the classroom to enhance student learning. Required minimum hours of programming. If you are choosing to submit a proposal, a traditional proposal, the project serving elementary and middle school students must operate a minimum of 30 weeks, 8 to 10 hours per week, with a total of 240 to 300 hours per site. Projects serving high school students must operate for a minimum of 30 weeks, 6 to 8 hours per week, with a total of 180 to 240 hours per site. Required summer programming. Projects must operate for a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, 4 hours per day, with a total of 60 to 80 hours per site. If you're submitting an expanded learning time proposal, ELT is the time a LEA or school extends its normal school day, week, or year to provide additional instruction or educational programs for all students beyond the state mandated requirements for the minimum hours in a school day, days in a school week, or days or weeks in a school year. An applicant may choose to submit an ELT proposal, thus applying to use 21st CCLC funds to conduct activities during the school day in a school that previously expanded its school day, week, or year. ELT applicants must submit a plan with the 21st CCLC grant application addressing the required components of a comprehensive ELT plan. Plan requirements are on page 34 of the RFP. Minimum hours. Applicants seeking 21st CCLC funds for ELT programs must provide all students at the school with at least 300 additional program hours before, during, or after the traditional school day programming, in accordance with the submitted comprehensive ELT plan and including a 21st CCLC summer. ELT school year required hours would be 180 hours from August to May, and ELT summer required hours would be 120 hours between May and July. '21st CCLC program overview. 21st Century Community Learning Center shall be located in elementary or secondary schools or other similarly accessible facilities. All 21st CCLC Community Learning Centers must have designated program office space with posted hours, location, and a master activity schedule. The program must have appropriate equipment security, resources, and a clear strategy for the safe transport of students to and from the center and home. The center must meet all OSHA, ADA, and other relevant federal and state facility requirements. In Louisiana, background checks shall be required for all staff working with students. Potential subgrantees must make provisions for children to have nutritional snacks, are strongly encouraged to establish a local 21st CCLC advisory focus group composed of students, teachers, parents, community agencies, and the private sector, must report program data annually to the United States Department of Education 21 APR system, and must also utilize the state's web-based tracking system, which documents all activities funded under the program, and attend approved national and state conferences. Each eligible organization that receives an award shall use the funds to carry out a broad array of additional services, programs, and activities. Academic enrichment, which could be providing tutorial services, youth development activities, service learning activities, nutrition and health education, drug and violence prevention programs, counseling programs, arts and music education activities, and physical fitness and wellness programs. Please note that this is not an exhaustive list. All Louisiana 21st CCLC programs are expected to meet or exceed at least the first two participant performance measures. Program monitoring, end-of-year reporting, and future funding will focus on improving performance from year to year on the following measures. 1, students regularly participating in the program will meet or exceed state and local academic achievement standards in reading and math. 2, students regularly participating in the program will show improvement in the performance measures of school attendance, classroom performance, and/or reduced disciplinary referrals. Participants in 21st CCLC programs will demonstrate additional positive educational, social, and behavioral changes. Grantees are permitted to examine or compare student outcomes in a variety of ways. Methods and tools for measuring indicators may include 1, comparisons of an individual student academic record, attendance and behavior before and after program participation, and comparisons of program participants' achievement and behavior with that of comparison groups. The critical end result is that applicants are expected to demonstrate how students' academic performance will be improved as a result of the high-quality academic enrichment opportunities that will be provided. Grantees must provide services that meet the federal principles of effectiveness. They are expected to improve student achievement, are combined or coordinated with other federal, state, and local programs for the most effective use of public resources and respond to identified community needs. Funding shall not supplant activities funded through MSP. Religious activities of any kind shall not be allowed. Fiscal manager requirement. Grantees must hire an individual to serve as a fiscal manager bookkeeper to ensure accurate record keeping and appropriate supporting documentation. The fiscal manager or bookkeeper must meet one of the minimum qualifications below. 1, have a baccalaureate degree with a minimum of 24 hours of business-related courses, such as accounting, finance, or management. 2, a certified public accountant licensed in Louisiana. 3, a master's degree in public or business administration. The following regulations shall be applicable to Louisiana's 21st CCLC programs, and that is the Federal Education Department's General Administrative Regulations, or EDGAR, 4th edition. Allowable expenses. All expenditures must be consistent with applicable state and federal laws, regulations, and guidance. Some allowable expenditures, of course, include salaries for your project director, education liaison, site coordinators, and ensure that salaries are reasonable and in line with the industry standards. Tutors, paraprofessionals, enrichment contractors, the fiscal manager, your audit, an independent evaluator, criminal background checks, supplies and materials required by the program, or computer hardware and software required for the 21st Century Program upon LDOE approval. And again, note that this is not an exhaustive list. Please see pages 40 and 41 of the RFP. Project funds may not be used to supplant existing programs and/or funding. The supplanting provision does not prohibit federal funds from being used to continue programs where a previous federal grant has ended and other federal, state, or local funds would not have been available. Applicants cannot duplicate services and/or target populations. As a general rule, program funds may be used only to cover costs that, 1, comply with the approved grant application and budget, and 2, are reasonable and necessary for the proper and efficient performance and administration of the grant. The budget must clearly reflect the program design. It is not sufficient to list transportation in the budget if it is not described in the program design section of the narrative. Grantees must budget for equipment and technology expenses in the first 2 years of the grant. For the third and final year of the grant, equipment and supply expenses must be prorated based on the percentage of use. A maximum of 1% of each 21st CCLC budget must be spent on parenting skills programs that promote parental involvement and family literacy and family engagement activities, including family engagement, parent leadership, family literacy, parent education programs such as GED courses or ESL courses, computer technology courses, and other courses depending upon the participating parents and their needs in the community. Applicants are not permitted to divest more than 20% of the total grant award to any single entity, including but not limited to partners, collaborators, or subgrantees. Applicants must maintain direct control of 51% of the total grant award or more during the entire grant cycle. Applicants are not allowed to divest oversight of the program administration or implementation to another agency. This includes, but is not limited to, existing 21st CCLC programs and other agencies in a subgrant process. These funds may not be used as a pass-through to another agency to operate a 21st CCLC program. Fiscal audit and evaluation costs. Fiscal audit and evaluation costs shall not exceed the sum total of $15,000 annually for program evaluation and audits. It will be a $5,000 max on your program evaluation and a $10,000 max on your program on the audit. If the entity receives $750,000 or more per fiscal year in federal awards, a fiscal audit shall be required. These expenses must be approved by LDOE staff and will not be noted as administrative costs in the grant. Indirect or administrative costs for school systems shall be at a fixed federal rate. Indirect costs for private, non-profit organizations shall be no more than 10%. Upon contract approval, LDOE will require documentation from the organization in order to calculate an IDC rate. Note that the combination of indirect costs and administrative costs cannot exceed 20%. Unallowable expenditures. No part-time teachers or staff may exceed 29 hours per week. Prior written approval is needed from LDOE for any staff that exceeds 29 hours per week. Uniforms are unallowable expenses unless the program provides a 50% match with other funds. 21st CCLC funds will only be utilized once the 50% match is met and the documentation of that match has been provided to LDOE. Preparation of the proposal, cost to develop, prepare, and/or write the 21st CCLC proposal cannot be charged to the grant directly or indirectly by either the agency or subcontractor. Pre-award costs may not be charged against the grant. Funds can be used only for activities conducted and costs incurred after the start date of the grant. Please note that 21st CCLC funds cannot be used to pay for school-related and school-wide athletics or organized competitive sports activities, league fees, and all associated costs. Salaries or district dues are strictly prohibited and considered supplanting. Competitive sports costs are costs that would have been covered previously through other means and therefore prohibited under the 21st CCLC program, supplement not supplant statutory requirements. Entertainment, refreshments, snacks, a field trip without the required academic support will be considered entertainment and not allowable. No overnight or out-of-state field trips are permitted. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. See pages 42 through 44 of the RFP. Fees for service. Although federal law does not prohibit the charging of fees for participation in 21st CCLC programs, in order to ensure that the priorities of the 21st century programs in Louisiana are not compromised, the LDOE prohibits charging of any fees. Federal guidance clearly states that programs must be equally accessible to all students targeted for services, regardless of their ability to pay. Federal guidance further recognizes that the priority of the program to serve poor students and families could be compromised through charging of fees. Attendance threshold. Grantees must maintain 80% of their proposed student attendance numbers annually during each year of the grant. Failure to maintain 80% of the student attendance may result in award reductions to the allocation for the remainder of the grant period. Please note that the 80% student attendance is directly correlated with the 30-day regular attendance indicator used in data collection systems created by the United States Department of Education. The regular attendee is defined for the purposes of federal reporting, refers to the students who have attended a 21st CCLC program for at least 30 days, which do not have to be consecutive during the reporting period. Proposal requirements. Applicants must limit the program narrative to no more than 22 double-spaced pages. The minimum font size shall be no smaller than 12-point standard font. Please ensure to include page numbers and applicant's name in the upper right corner of every page. Refer to pages 47 through 53 of the RFP for specific criteria instructions. As you see on the slide, there are specific areas that are assigned certain points. The first criteria is the abstract. There are no points awarded for the abstract. The demonstration of need, the maximum is 5 points. Number 3, community notice and collaboration. That's going to be 10 points. Project design and implementation, overall 30 points. Organizational leadership and management plan, 20 points. Project evaluation, 8 points. Sustainability, 5 points. Project cost, budget and budget forms, 10 points. So there's a total sub-score of 88. And then you have the Louisiana Veteran and/or Hudson Initiative points, which is up to 12%. So there are 12 points here, which makes the total eligible score 100. Part 3, evaluation. Proposals that pass the preliminary screening and mandatory requirements review will be evaluated based on information provided in the proposal period. Proposals found not to be in compliance will be found non-responsive and rejected from further consideration. Proposals shall be screened for adherence to the basic requirements, such as proposal formatting, completeness of content and required forms, etc., to determine if the proposal addressed the minimum requirements. The evaluation of proposals will be accomplished by an external peer review evaluation team to be designated by the state, which will determine the proposal most advantageous to the state. To maintain confidentiality of the reviewers, the department will not release their names or contact information. The Department of Education will ensure that reviewers are highly qualified individuals with a strong knowledge of research-based quality after-school programming and represent equitable gender, ethnic, and geographic diversity. The cost evaluation or the budget review. The applicant must submit 3 12-month budgets, though the time frame for those budgets will be September 1 through August 31st. The applicant must use the budget summary and budget detail forms provided. The budget is to be separated by school year and summer, and ELT if applicable, and a detailed description of each expenditure must be included. Reviewers will be scoring budgets based upon the alignment of items in the budget and how they connect to the need established in the proposal. Reasonableness based upon the narrative and budgeted expenditures, and allowability of the items listed in the budget. Funding priorities. To ensure equitable and reasonable distribution of 21st CCLC funds throughout the state as it pertains to geographic diversity and/or to reduce the funding of multiple projects in a district or the submission of nearly identical proposals, a funding priority will be given to proposals that meet the following criteria. The funding priority, as you'll notice, is a little different this year than in the past. Instead of actually giving priority points, there will be additional funds that will be provided for those programs that are proposing to serve a middle school student, those that are having a program in a parish not served in cohort 9, those proposing a program for high school students, those proposing a program whose focus is STEAM, and those proposing a program that targets Louisiana D or F or UIR schools. Again, additional funds distributed for funding priorities are solely based upon funding availability. Part 4, performance standards. After proposals are awarded, they will be expected to adhere to the framework noted, the Louisiana's Framework for After-School Evaluation. The framework looks at 3 areas: academic performance, attendance, and stakeholder satisfaction. On the slides, you'll see a snapshot of the details and particulars that go into each of the areas of the after-school framework. Attachments. On the screen, if you have access, you will see the checklist. The checklist is a very important feature that you will need to utilize when you're preparing your proposal for submission. You will want to use the checklist to ensure that you have all of the required documents and all of the required copies that you need prior to submission. The attachments. The first attachment on page 78 is your proposal cover page. That page, you will list the type of organization you are. You will list the person who will be overall responsible for the proposal, and then that person, whoever the authorized signature is, will sign the cover page in blue ink. Form AA is the funding priority page. If you are planning to take advantage of any of those funding priorities listed, then you will need to provide the documentation needed for the funding priority page and select the funding priority that applies to your proposal. Also listed on that page are the parishes that currently have 21st century programs. Therefore, you are able to determine those parishes that do not. Form A, your partnering agencies form. This form is to be completed along with your MOUs. And please note that an individual agency, organization, or entity that provides services for a fee is not a partner. That is a vendor. Again, an individual, an agency, or an organization or other entity that only provides services for a fee is considered a vendor. You will not list vendors on Form A. You will only list those that are true partners. Form B is the MOU. So those partners that you have listed on your partnering form, you would definitely have MOUs for those entities or agencies. And page 82, the Form A and B and Partnership Letter Instructions provides you with the steps that you need to complete Form A and Form B. Form C, Private School Consultation Form. As you will notice on this form, you will need to reach out to private schools in your area, and your area could be an attendance zone or within a 3 to 5 mile radius of where you're going to be providing services for students. If there are any private schools in your area, you will need to reach out to them and see if they have students that are in need of services and would like to be a part of that. And so you will need to read Form C in its entirety and complete that. Form D would be the form you would use if you end up having private schools participating. They will need to, their information will need to be included on Form D. If you don't end up having private schools that participate, you would just put not applicable on that form. Form E would be your program summary form, which is indicated that you can have a maximum of 4 sites only. Again, there's a maximum of 4 sites only. Form E. On Form F, this is your fiscal manager and bookkeeper qualifications form. This form is not needed by LEAs or school systems. Again, the fiscal manager and bookkeeper form is not required for LEAs or school systems. However, it is required for everyone else. So make sure you read the form and you complete the form in its entirety and submit the required documentation to support that form. Your budget forms, in the Word version of the RFP, there are links to the budget form, and you can find that link on page 87. Page 90, your Veteran Hudson form. If you are able to take advantage of any of the Veteran Hudson points by being a LEVET or a SE or partnering with one or more, then you would utilize this form and provide the documentation to support that. The performance goals and indicators template and instructions. Please note that you need to read the instructions of where you will place the performance goals and indicators template once you complete it, and then you will insert that into your proposal. Again, the performance goals and indicators template is not included in your 22 pages of narrative minimum or maximum. At this time, that is the end of the slide deck that we have for you. We will pause for just a moment and allow you to type your questions into the chat box. I see that there are a few that have already come in, but at this time, if anyone has any questions, you can type those into the chat, and we will do our best to provide you with an impromptu response. And again, note that these responses are not official because they are not written, made by written inquiry. Also, please note that this presentation is just an overview and snapshot of the RFP. It is not exhaustive, so please make sure that you have read the RFP in its entirety and you're familiar with all of the requirements. Also, for all those on the line, thank you again for your patience during the roll call. Again, we opened roll call, we took roll call, and we closed roll call. If you're not participating, if you did not indicate participation during that time, you will not be counted as being a part of this pre-proposal conference. So again, I will pause for just a moment so that you all can put your questions into the chat, and then I will do my best to then begin to provide you with some responses in about 1 to 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to begin reading questions and trying to provide you with a response to them. Does a school that is its own LEA qualify to submit an RFP if they are not CIR or UIR? And the answer is yes. You're still your own LEA, and you still should have a Title I school-wide population. Will we receive a copy of the PowerPoint presentation? The PowerPoint presentation should be posted by tomorrow, and it will be posted on the Louisiana Believes website, the department's website, in the After School Resources toolbox. Again, it will be posted in the After School Resources toolbox, but it will be on the department's website. And we should have that posted hopefully by tomorrow afternoon. Can the school systems partner be an existing after-school partnership? Yes, just make sure you understand the difference between partnership and vendor. Can you apply for a traditional program and ELC? No, you have to apply for one or the other. Are LEAs allowed to apply if they are not CIR or UIR schools? Yes, they are. CIR and UIR is only a focus of the RFP. Is there a form that the department uses to allow a nonprofit to have access to individual student scores, grades for pre-post assessment or for the behavior record? No. That information is considered personal identifiable information and is private, and that information is not given to an entity from the department. However, we suggest that whatever school system you're working with, that you have a data sharing agreement with them and you have parent permission to obtain that information on the students that would be in your program. So that way you have a direct line to the school and the school district to be able to obtain that type of data. Please repeat what was said about the parish list on the funding priority page 79. Are those parishes listed not allowed to be partnered, to be a partnered LEA? No, the parishes that are included on that form are those that currently have 21st century programs operating within them. That list is there to help you to know those. Any other district not listed does not have a 21st century program, thus making an individual eligible to possibly receive funding priority for having or proposing a program in an area that doesn't already have a program. Is it possible to provide a service to about 20 students for credit recovery at a high school even though you have 4 sites not including that school. Those students would need to be included into one of those 4 sites. If our organization received funds 2 cycles ago, we are a veteran. But do we have to submit to sustain what we received funds for before, or can we write for a brand new idea or program? You are correct. You would be considered veteran because you have received 21st century funding in Louisiana before. If none of the programs that you were funded under are still existing and you're not looking to expand, you are correct in that you can write for a new program and a new idea. Are churches faith-based able to apply? Yes. Faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, public, private entities are eligible. If you are faith-based and there are multiple schools in your community, can the organization have multiple sites of operation? Yes. For this proposal, you can submit to serve up to 4 different sites. The program evaluation is just to state what the amounts are again. The maximum for your program evaluation is $5,000. The maximum for the audit is $10,000, making a collective $15,000 cap for both of those. $5,000 for the program evaluation, just to clarify, and $10,000 for the audit. How do we black our agency name, for the MOU and other supporting documents? We listed examples of how information could be redacted in the RFP. Please refer to that. I think we listed a black box that could be used over the entity's name, and we listed X's that could be used over the entity's name. And you would do the same on financial records and on MOUs. Can your center have more than one focus? Yes. It would be up to you to develop out your proposal and what you want to do based upon the needs of your community. If you are a veteran, are you required to stay with the same school? No, this is an opportunity where you can change your school site. Written inquiries, as stated in the presentation, are due by April 16th to the RFP coordinator and will be posted to the LAPAC website by April 23rd. Those will be the official responses, inquiries and responses that will be posted. Responses to impromptu questions that are being answered during this Zoom meeting are just that and are not official responses. Can agencies or nonprofits from other parishes apply? Yes. Please clarify, page 79, are the listed parish lists off limits or just for the funding priority? Those are only listed there to give you an idea of where there are current programs. So that if you wanted to utilize the priority to serve a program in an area that does not have a program, then you would need to know where programs are located in order to know where programs are not located. That's all that list is there to do, to provide you with a sense of where programs are, so that if you want to look at serving a parish that is not listed, that could be considered a priority, because you're serving an area that is not currently being served. At this time, that was the last question. Okay, have another question that just came in. Is it mandatory for transportation to be provided for after-hours programming? You do not necessarily have to provide transportation yourself, but you must have a transportation plan in place. How are the children going to get from your program home every day? Whether that be by transportation that you've paid for and provided, or whether you're going to do parent pickup. Do I understand correctly that if we meet a funding priority criteria, that we can apply for up to $1,525 per student as opposed to the $1,500 listed earlier in the RFP? That is correct. Can you use funding from the grant to pay for transportation? Yes, transportation is an allowable expense under 21st Century. At this time, there aren't any other questions that are coming through the chat. I will pause for a moment so that I can change my screen so that I can put the roll call document back up. If you'll just bear with us for just one moment. At this time, I have shared the official webinar, the Zoom meeting roll call, and I will scroll down the document so that you can see the entire document. If there's anyone that may have a discrepancy of some sort, not a discrepancy that you didn't make the roll call, but a discrepancy as we may not have your name correct or something of that nature, please let us know. There are no other questions in the chat box at this time. So if you would, those of you would begin to, we want to thank you for joining us today, and you actually can begin leaving the meeting once you've, I guess, verified that you've met the participation. And again, I will scroll down the list. Thank you for your time. We just had a question come through. I'm sorry for those of you that are still in the meeting. The question was, do LEAs need only MOUs and not partner letters too? No, LEAs, if you have an MOU, then you also need a partnership letter from that entity. Make sure you refer to the form. Make sure you refer to page 82 that lists the steps for Form A and B for your partner letters and your MOUs and your partnering agencies form. That was the only question that came through, so I'm going to mute the line again, and then I'll scroll down the roll call page. One moment.